Hi everyone, welcome to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit for a special milestone in Shannons Nationals history, the 100th round of the series. The Nationals have come a long way since the very first round was held way back in March 2006 at Wakefield Park. As you can see, there's been some rain overnight, but it's certainly not going to dampen the spirits of the competitors this weekend. We're about to get underway with the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Australia presented by Pirelli. But before we do, here's Tony Shebeki, who's caught up with a sporting star of Olympic proportions.
Well, fantastic people you meet here around the track at the Shannons Nationals. Steve Hooker, Olympic gold medalist, of course, joins us. Steve, you're obviously here to see your mate Johnny Steff.
Yeah, it's been good to see Johnny race around. I'm here with my son Maxie as well. He actually goes to kindergarten with John's daughter Lola, so he's just excited as I was to see Johnny race around.
Are you much of a motor racing person?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love getting out whenever I can. I've got good mates with a couple of the drivers, and so I always come out and support them when I get a chance. And whenever they give me a chance to jump in a car, I always take it as well. I love it myself.
John loves going fast. Were you surprised when he told you that he was going to get into motor racing?
No, not surprised at all. He loves a challenge. He's one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet. So, yeah, it's not surprised at all to see him in the car. He was good off the start today. He's always been quick out of the blocks though, John.
Yeah, he certainly has. Mate, thanks for coming along, and I look forward to seeing you around the day.
Yeah, no worries. Have a good one.
2 points the difference going into the third and final race of the weekend for round 2 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. It's Brenton Grove starting alongside Jordan Love. The two young guns of the series will fight it out for the round result. Well, before we get underway with race 3, here's what happened earlier this morning in race 2. Jordan Love started off pole by virtue of winning race 1 on Saturday, but Brenton Grove threw down the challenge right from the outset, and this would continue for at least half of the opening lap before all hell broke loose. We're on board with Grove coming out of Honda corner. He gets caught out by the slippery conditions briefly and allows Love to go through. That is until the young West Aussie understeers off at Siberia and goes front on into the tyre wall. Unbelievably, he was able to drive himself out of the gravel and resume the race, though in last place. Grove would assume the race lead and would then have to fend off Anthony Gilbertson, the Hallmark Homes entry, but he too would get caught out by the greasy track, would end up in the wrong direction, causing a bit of a headache for the rest of the field. Gilbertson would spin back around and resume, but a few corners later at MG he got caught out again and spun directly into the tyre wall and out of the race. All eyes would then be on Jordan Love as he managed to work his way back up from 16th place into the top 3 by the end of the race. It was an amazing effort for the Formula 4 star, who was churning out times up to 3 seconds faster than anyone else on a drying racetrack. He couldn't catch Grove though. He took his second win of the season from Love, with Brett Bolton home in a very strong third place. So here's the grid for the third and final race of the weekend. It's Grove and Love on the front row, only 2 points splitting them in the championship now, heading into the finale for the weekend. Bolton and John Caratinos share row 2, Ben Stack and Nick Carneros on row 3, with John Stephenson, Ross McGregor and the Morris brothers, Phil and John, rounding out the top 10. This is the scene, a repaired car on the front. We're underway and racing, and it's Love and Grove on the front row, the two young guns. Whoever finishes in front in this race will win the round, and it's Brenton Grove with a very good start on a dry track to lead the field down to turn 1. Love gets in behind, Bolton is third. Caratinos up to 4th place, was really pleased with his drive through the field from the back in race 2. Ben Stack is next, then Carneros, Stephenson, McGregor and the Morris boys in 9th and 10th.
David Gregg gets away this time at the back of the field there, but it wasn't left standing, so he gets away and runs with the pack there. John Stephenson in the repair management car out of Zagami. Pretty strong midfield as well, covering the line there. Young Grovey, Ben Grove doing a good job there. He's got Jordan Love putting the car wherever he wants, and there's Phil Norris in the Motec car, midfield. Veteran of Victorian motorsport, still doing a very good job.
This is going to be a very big challenge for Brenton Grove. Young man out in front, and his race victories so far have come when Jordan Love has had some dramas. Start line crash at Sandown and off the road at lap 1 in race 2 earlier today. Now it's a straight fight. Love, his cold tyre pace has been extraordinary this weekend, on Cole Pirelli, and he's done the business there around the outside at Lukey Heights. He gives him the inside run for MG. It's a great move. He grabs the lead, but he goes a bit deep. Grove with the over-under, couldn't make it stick, and the Sonic car is now in front. And what a great move as well. Ever since practice on Friday, his cold tyre pace early in a run has been really, really strong. And he showed that in the opening lap of this race. The war for P3 continues. John Caratinos has gone past Bolton. Ben Stack looking to do the same in that 260 km/h run down towards turn 1. Ben can't get through. Bolton holds on to P4, but Johnny Caratinos has made himself work his way up to third place and is on the podium.
I tell you what, if the 8-year-old race fan in front of you didn't enjoy that opening lap of that race with the Porsches out in front with these two young blokes going for it, and as Richard said, pace on cold tyres and bravery on cold tyres there with Jordan Love. That is impressive stuff. This is a guy that has got a good feel for the road underneath him and the tyre he's got and the package behind him, and that was an amazing opening lap, not just for those front two, this battle pack that's raging for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th on the road. The 65 just putting the wheels off the back of the ripple strip there, so young Ben Stack needs to keep an eye on that. Don't need to do it when you've got John Morris ranging up behind you. Let me tell you, he'll remind you all the way to the end of the race that he's there.
John Morris works his way past Nick Canaros, so 6th and 7th place, those two have been locked together for a lot of the weekend. Nick qualified really well. He finished on the podium at the opening round at Sandown in one of the races there. So a newcomer to GT3 Cup Challenge has got plenty of speed. Ben Stack just in front has been fast. There's Sam Shahin on the comeback trail looking down the inside of Phil Morris in the very bright Motec car. Wasn't able to get through. And Sam will be working his way through the field, as will Anthony Gilbertson, having started towards the back. How about this? This is P2 under pressure. John Caratinos is absolutely flying. He's got to the rear bumper bar of Brenton Grove.
He's got a fast race car under him as Caratinos. Sunday race day, he charged from the back of the grid in the race earlier today, and this is a good charge at the back of young Grovey, who is driving very well. Very intelligent run for Brenton. The Grove car, a livery that is synonymous with Porsche racing here at Australia now. And now we've got a father and his son doing a really good job of it, but John Caratinos is not sitting back for this.
John was a bit frustrated after race 2. I came up to him afterwards and said, mate, great drive, brilliant job from the back of the field in dicey conditions. He said, yeah, I know, I was a bit frustrated because he let one car through. He thought he was a lap down, but he wasn't actually. It was Rob Woods who was at the back of the field. He said, I didn't think that was the position, and it turned out that it was. So he lost one spot that he didn't feel like he should have lost. So he was a bit frustrated, but I think he saw my argument that it was a really good drive from the back of the field in a repaired car after that unfortunate crash down at the Southern Loop yesterday with Johnny Morris. So really impressive. Fast guy, John Caratinos from Adelaide. He missed most of last season, didn't do any racing, took a year off to focus on the business, jumped back in the car at Sandown for round 1 and was fast from the outset. Talking about fast, a little bit of contact there. John Morris, he went around the outside of Benny Stack at the exit of MG. There was a little bit of contact as Stack tried to turn in to the side of the Motorsport Leasing Porsche, or maybe as Morris tried to turn out to open his line into turn 11. Either way, fair bump, play on, and that is a position change for 5th and 6th.
John Morris was setting himself up for that a lap earlier and perfected it. 4.4 kilometres later, got through on him. You can see a weakness there. Our race leader, Jordan Love, though, has gone away with it. It's 4.6 seconds a lead, and we're only 3 laps into this 11-lapper. An out-and-out sprint. It's make a decision, and this is where we're seeing John Morris just making those split-second decisions, almost reactionary to what's happening in front of him as he now comes up on the back of Brett Bolton, who again had a ripping run this morning. John Morris has got a very, very fast car underneath him at the moment.
Yeah, so currently the car's in 3rd and 5th in race 3, started race 2 right at the very back of the field. So it's impressive how he and John Caratinos have worked their way through. Tell you what, this will be big. We saw it on the opening lap, but we know how good Jordan Love's cold tyre pace is. When everyone's up to temperature, it's a bit harder just to sail casually around the outside at Lukey Heights, but he almost did the job there. This is a very, very busy little battle pack. It's 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. And John Stephenson behind them is actually catching them too in the Zagami Autosport car. He's running 8th. So we go back and have a look at this great fight for 2nd and 3rd. John Caratinos is getting really good drive out of turn 12. He showed the nose to Brenton Grove down at 1. He couldn't get through. Difficult to make a move there because it's such a fast entry. It's not a big braking zone. They're just stabbing the brakes very, very close before they get the car turned in. So not a renowned overtaking opportunity in a Cup car at turn 1 because they approach it so high and they brake so late for it. Maybe turn 4, but his drive out of the southern loop isn't quite so good. So he's struggling to get the thing stopped and pulled up any better than Brenton Grove in front. So that's the battle for second. This is the battle for fourth. And it's a 4-car fight. It could be a 5 or 6-car fight soon because these guys are all catching them down the inside. Anthony Gilbertson, he went a little bit too deep there. Ross McGregor had nowhere to go, was turned around.
And that steam out the front of that car is not what you want to see. That's right where the radiators are mounted there. And we won't see that car go too much further. Ross McGregor now raw fuel belting out of the back of that car.
Steam out of his ears, I reckon. He won't be real pleased about that. He came from a long way back, Anthony Gilbertson, desperate to make up some positions at the back of the field. And unfortunately, there was contact. The damage on the front of the Hallmark Homes car will probably be evidence enough that he wasn't alongside far enough to make that move. Ross turned in and got turned around. It's a shame. That was for 10th and 11th place. Here's Gilbertson under brakes, blue on blue car down the inside. Yeah, I don't think they'll look too fondly on that up in race control. Stephen Johnson, the driver standards observer, I can just imagine the conversation will be, well, unfortunately, Anthony had 2 wheels on the grass on the inside there. You were a long way off the road, and it was your front corner to Roscoe's rear corner. Probably penalty worthy.
Here's second and third again on the road. Johnny Caratinos hasn't been able to perfect the move. He keeps looking for it. There it is again. Shows his card. Looks down the inside. He's going to get pushed wide around Belinda's Terrace, and that's not the way you want to go. There really is only one line through that part of the track.
It's good racecraft from both of them there. Brenton gave him racing room. He knows he can't afford to throw away this race. He needs the championship points that go with second or third. Either or's good. Caratinos has got a DNF. He's not in contention for a round victory. Brenton Grove's got a spot on the podium to worry about. So he can afford to give him some room here if it looks like John is going to make a big move. And that was very hard but fair racing, I thought, through MG and into turn 11. Caratinos certainly telegraphing his intentions with a lunge down the inside.
So they got the car under him to take it up to Brenton, and I dare say once he works his way back onto the back of the number 23, he'll have another go at it. We've still got 4 laps remaining in this journey. Here it is under brakes again. Brenton's strong in the 23 into Honda.
It's still teeing off behind them, by the way. Morris back to 4th place. Ben Stack's been relegated to 6th, and Bolton's up to 5th. So they're just kicking on. It's great stuff. Here's John Stephenson and Sam Shahin. So this is a little bit further back. 8th and 9th on the road now. Both have had up and down weekends. This is the scrap of the year so far in GT3 Cup Challenge. It's been a couple of really good ones this round as well.
John Morris currently heading that up, and it could change again. Brett Bolton, young Stack there as well. Nick Carteros involved.
Here we go again. Oh, gee. He was thinking about it.
Not a replay, just having another go a lap later.
He was thinking about going there, I think, Johnny K, but he managed to back out of it. He got it stopped, and there was just enough room for Brenton Grove to sweep across in front. I spoke to Brenton's mum, Tanya, before this race. Obviously, Stephen's wife, and not the calmest person watching Steve race during Carrera Cup races. I said, how are you dealing this weekend with both your son and your husband going car racing? Just had a grin and shook her head, and not great, but battling through.
Most mums and wives there that don't have fingernails, or they've got absolutely no weight left on them, as they panic the whole weekend.
I said, you need to go and find a corporate lounge and a nice Pinot Noir and chill out. It's a stressful life. The two Groves are having great fun racing at top level Porsche racing in Australia. And I wonder if we see Brenton in Porsche Carrera Cup in the future. That'd be tremendous stuff.
I tell you what, you go racing together as a family, you stay together as a family. Johnsons and Richards come straight to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. The list goes on. So a little bit further back, John Morris has finally been able to get a break on the World Championship for P5. So he's moved away up in 4th place. Bolton's under pressure from Stack. Stephenson and Shahin with the old over-under at Honda. and it looked like Johnny Steff was able to get through. He wasn't, because Sam holds on for Siberia and will ultimately take that spot. So he gets 8th away, or will he?
That's experienced Porsche racer versus a very exuberant rookie out there at the moment.
It was, John's been really impressive, hasn't he? I tell you what, Sam was over the moon yesterday. He finished 4th in the Porsche GT3 Cup Australia Pro-Am race with Daniel Gaunt. And they start near the front. I like them for today's race. Pretty evenly matched as far as an AM driver goes with the rest of the field is Sam on raw speed. And Daniel Gaunt will be a pro starting against the AM, so that's going to be tremendous to watch. Here's this fight. By the way, Jordan Love is still the race leader. He's still in this race. He's just 12 seconds up the road. So wandering around on his own out in front, just punching out consistent 1 minute 34s now. He doesn't have to worry about any attack from behind. So the Quintus Sandalwood Sonic Motor Racing car is doing a very nice job. Car number 79, the young West Aussie, the graduate from Formula 4, terrific young talent. And hopefully we see him follow the ranks up through the Porsche pyramid here in Australia and maybe overseas. Carnaros, so I reckon there might have been a little communication between front bumper bar and rear there. A little bit of debris flying. This is yet to tee off fully, this battle, but wow, it's been intense since lap 1.
John Morris has got away from them too now. He's clearing 4th with a big lock-up down into turn 4 this time. That won't do him any good, as these three are absolutely raging in battle.
This is the fight of the season of the Nationals so far. We've had 100 rounds of Shannons Nationals, 53 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. And as far as GT3 Cup goes, this is right up there with all the mid-pack battles we've seen over the years. This is tremendous stuff. Really good, hard, clean motor racing between some very enthusiastic racing car drivers.
Geez, we've seen some innovation with the GT3 Cup Challenge field as well. They've had night races at Malala, twilight races at Malala, and various different formats along the way.
Oh, Carnaros down the inside at MG on Bolton. Gets it done. Stack's going to follow him through.
And then, of course, the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy, which is a mix in this season as well.
Which kicks off at Winton in just 2 weeks' time, so we're looking forward to that this Saturday afternoon. Those races have turned into impromptu twilight races when it's getting a bit dark, a bit earlier than we thought it would. We're looking forward to that. So much to look forward to in the GT3 Cup Challenge. Thanks to Pirelli for their ongoing support of this series. This is the battle for second. It's Brenton Grove holding out John Caratinos. John Morris 4th. What a drive through the field from the experienced Victorian. He's been very, very good today. This continues. So this is P5, 6 and 7 still going on, as intense as it was since lap 1. But I think Carnaros has finally cleared them now.
Sam Shahin's in as well. He's logged onto the back. As Morris has driven away from the front, Sam Shahin clocks on at the back.
What happens here? Watch Stack looking down the inside, struggling for rear brakes. This is where it tees off. Dives down the inside, gets through. Shahin goes past as well. Bolton was carted wide there. He had to take evasive action.
Hip and shoulder.
It was good. Oh, it was like a tackle. He's got a puncher. After a really promising performance by Bolton all weekend long. Unfortunately, he ends off. And Brenton Grove back in front of Johnny Caratinos. So this scrap continues for second place.
Jordan Love must be just about to take the checker. There he is across the line. We saw him at the start. We've seen him at the finish. Takes the win there for Jordan Love.
And that's the round victory as well. First round win of his Porsche GT3 Cup career. Tell you what, P2 will be close. Caratinos looking down the inside. Who's got the most Porsche power? It's Grove by 0.08 of a second. He just gets home in second place. Jordan Love gets the race and the round. Brenton Grove was second. John Caratinos third, with John Morris in fourth, and Nick Carnaros and Ben Stack fifth and sixth. Sam Shahin, John Stephenson, Michael O'Donnell and Phil Morris rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, definitely happy with that. We managed to be fastest in both practice and qualifying, which is a good way to start the weekend. And then race 1, managed to come away with the win, and then made a bit of a mistake in race 2, which really cost us, put it in the wall in lap 1. But then we managed to fight back and had really good pace in the wet on the slick tyre, and managed to get second, which I was really happy about. Really, if we couldn't achieve that, that would have really stuffed up our weekend. And then to finish off the win in the last race, while having a bit of a gap, was definitely a good positive to finish the weekend.
So Jordan Love heads into the next round at Winton Motor Raceway with a slender 14-point lead over Brenton Grove, but there's still a long way to go as the season rolls on. We're off to a break, but don't go anywhere. The Radical Australia Cup is up next. Welcome back to the 100th running of the Shannons Australian Motor Racing Nationals here at the picturesque Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Race 1 of the Radical Australia Cup was held yesterday, with current championship leader Peter Patten taking the win. But with the return of Michael Shaw this weekend, Race 2 could be anyone's game. Let's join our commentators Darren Smith and Sean Henshelwood for all the action.
Here we are, drenched in sunshine. It's a little bit chilly. I think we're about 15 degrees now. The 50-minute Radical race is their second race for the weekend, and it will be Michael Shaw lining up on the pole position with Ollie Smith right behind him. Car number 1, Peter Patten, Tony Agony, Peter Johnson, Chris Medlin, Dave Crampton, Grant Walker, Rowan Ross there, Kerry Whiting, Sue Hughes and Peter Clare, and we've got a spinner coming out of MG, and I think that's the 33, which is Michael Whiting. Zagami Motorsports supplying the Shannons Nationals a beautiful McLaren safety car. Let's hope we only see it while they're forming up.
I don't know that we'll get a start, given that the officials are still on the circuit tending to that car. Oh, and Peter Patten's off the circuit at the start. He's going into the wall. He's hit the wall. The championship points leader, for some reason, has run wide on the run to the line, got himself on the wet grass and into the wall. Looks like they've started this race, and that is disaster for the number 1 car already.
That's a game over right there. That was a pretty hard nudge to the wall. And the field streaming around. I think they look a bit confused themselves there to see car 1 spear off in front of them, but they are racing, and Michael Shaw doing, well, what he was trying to do yesterday, drive away and dominate. Look at Peter Johnson in the 17 PJS Air car, who had a number of years ago Paul Stokel as his driver coach, did a lot of work with him back then. It's working out for him now. Peter Johnson into 2, the 86 of Ollie Smith goes round.
That's disappointment for him. So that's the top 2 in the championship. They're making it hard for themselves straight off the bat. That's going to make it very, very difficult. But Michael Shaw, what a great job he's done. A 2.5-year sabbatical, been away from the championship, won it in the SR3 class in 2014. At that stage, it was SR8s that were the front runners in the category. We don't run the SR8s anymore. We've gone back to the 1500cc Hayabusa-powered SR3. So he was the 2014 champion in this class. Peter Patten since dominated, but Michael Shaw's come back this weekend after some sort of semi-retirement to focus on business, and here he is at the front of the field after qualifying on pole yesterday. So a very, very nice job from him, but Ollie Smith making his job very, very difficult. He was dead last after turn 2, and that off we were just speaking about in the first race yesterday. Had to force his way back, got up to position 4, and then developed his own electrical miss late in the race, and that dropped him back behind Peter Johnston late in the race. Johnston now in position 2 behind race leader Michael Shaw.
Fantastic so far. It doesn't look like we've gone to safety car. Hopefully the crews have been able to clear the number 1 car from its resting place in the main straight. Looks like it has, but here we go. We are off on the second lap of this race. Rowan Ross has clearly got a good car under him. He's going to attack.
He's got Chris Medlin in front of him, and then David Crampton in front of that. But behind him, Gary Walker, another driver that we've seen in past seasons who's making a return. He said, look, it's been about 2 years since I've last been in the car. He said, I really enjoyed it and dragged it out of the garage in Melbourne, and he's back on track here this weekend and currently running around in position number 7.
Here we go, back to the start. There's number 1. Just dived out. He thought he was going to be able to have a good run down to 1. Got a bit of wheel spin under him, and after that, once he put 2 wheels on the grass, just a passenger. So Peter Patten will play no further part in this big move here with the number 9. That's Chris Medlin, and he looks down the inside of Dave Crampton, and he's perfected the move. Rowan Ross is in behind him as well. Great to see the Victorian Gary Walker in this battle. We're talking about 5th, 6th and 7th on the road, and it looks like Rowan Ross is going to take Crampton on the inside. The very fast left-hander coming out of Siberia here.
Ollie Smith further back, making his way back through. Now, he was lamenting yesterday that off on the first lap. He said this was a championship deciding round for me. It's an opportunity to move from second right onto the tail of Peter Patten, but of course Peter Patten drove away with the first race. Oliver Smith had to work his way back from last, finished 5th. Not bad points, but he's still over 50 points behind the championship points leader. Peter Patten looks like he's not going to complete this race. Now, just looking at the timing, he is classified as last in this race. We'll just keep an eye on that to see whether or not he has been able to continue circulating, but points-wise, this is what Ollie Smith needed. He didn't need that off. down at Honda on the opening lap. He needed to focus on getting to the front of this field and maximising his point score. Of course, this is the first round for Michael Shaw. He may take the victory in this race, and we still have a long way to go, but he's not in the championship hunt. This is up to Ollie Smith to really make the most of today's second race.
Rowan Ross, who was strong at Sandown until he had issues there as well in the 88, is pushing on very well now up into P5. Issues yesterday, he had issues at Sandown, looks like to go to P4. He's in the newer car.
So
in fact,
too
they're
is
both
Chris
the new
Medlin.
cars.
Both 2017 RSX models. Long stroke engine, a little bit more power and more aero than the older cars that are on the circuit. One of those is behind the 333 of David Crampton. So too Gary Walker in the 48, but that is the 68 coming through, or 86 rather, coming through of Oliver Smith, who now moves up into position number 7, immediately behind David Crampton. Now, Crampton had a brand new car too, ran it at Sandown, you saw, was very good, finished on the podium a number of times, but unfortunately he had a big off in an incident at Turn 1 at Sydney Motorsport Park, and any incident at Turn 1 at Sydney Motorsport Park is a bit like an incident at Turn 1 at Phillip Island. It's going to be a big one. He made contact with another car, and that was his brand new car. He was getting extra miles at Sydney Motorsport Park, of course the penultimate round of the championship. In about 8 weeks' time after this, he was getting valuable miles for that, but unfortunately, car badly damaged. They're actually investigating how much damage at the moment before they put it back on track. But he had his spare car, which he was using for corporate days, and he'd actually put his son in for the state series. So David Crampton was able to make the grid this weekend. He said it's taken him a little while to get his head around the older car, but he too is trying to maximise points and stay in this championship hunt as now Ollie Smith closes in on the tail of the number 9 car of Chris Medlin.
Ollie Smith in the multicoloured extravaganza there, orange and green and blue stripes, up alongside the number 9 of Chris Medlin in all the white livery. Young care down the side of Ollie Smith's car.
Talking about liveries, as I was saying yesterday, we called that Michael Whiting in the predominantly white, blue and black car had come off a couple of times down at Honda. That was in fact Greg Kenny, who has an almost identical livery. So apologies to Michael, but that is one of the vagaries of calling some of these cars that don't have an awful lot of real estate, and certainly when the bulk of the field is white. We do appreciate liveries like the 86 and the 333 because you can't mistake those, but when the livery is predominantly white, it's often easy to make that error. So apologies to Michael. He has been doing a good job. He's currently circulating in position 9.
Peter Patton doesn't look to be making any further part. He will have taken starters' orders. And he will have gone across the timing line, just didn't come around for that first lap. So he is a race starter, so he will be classified for whatever points are on offer for 13th in this race. He will get allocated because he did take starters' orders. The 86 now streaming around over Lukey Heights. There's hardly a corner on this track that you can't preface with the famous Lukey Heights or the famous Turn 2. It really is a circuit that just has so much to offer. The future of motorsport, let alone its fantastic history.
Well, a word I like to use a lot in media releases is iconic, and that certainly suits just about every part of the Phillip Island circuit. Of course, a great heritage in Australian motorsport, and will continue on for many, many years into the future, and I'm sure have many historic moments scattered around this 4.4 kilometre race length. Look at it, disappearing over the hill into the ocean. Into Bass Strait. What a beautiful view.
And how low you sit in a radical, that's exactly what it would look like from there. Here's a challenge. This is David Crampton and Walker, the sole Victorian in this field. Looks to the inside there. He's got a strong run. You've got to suggest, Sean, that Walker does have a good car under him. He's able to put it wherever he wants on the track. Now, as opposed to the Porsche race, which we've had prior to this, the track is, you've got to suggest 90% dry. At least there's a dry racing line all the way around there. And with this strong wind and the decent sunshine we're getting, the track's drying out quite nicely. The 9 off.
There's Chris Medlin's, just as you said, grip was looking a little bit better. Has got onto the damp part of the circuit clearly. No grip with those controlled Dunlop slick tyres and just wandered off onto the grass. Fortunately, able to rejoin, and fortunately it looks like little to no damage for the number 9 RSX. So good for Chris to be able to carry on. Of course, one of the stalwarts of this category with Greg Smith, one of the founders. They've been in this championship right from the start. So let's take a look back. Oh, that's an odd one. Gee,
yeah, it looks like a brake bias issue there.
Yeah,
and he's broken the rear diffuser too there. It's flapping around.
Okay, that may well see Chris head into pit lane, and that may have been the reason for the spin. He's just lost lost grip at the rear of the car, which is certainly what it looked like. It was a very unusual place to break traction and have a spin. Ollie Smith fires down the inside of Rowan Ross into turn 1 to take away. That will be position number 4. Tony Haggerty, the next one in front of him, and Tony's doing a great job hanging on at the moment to position number 3. In front of him, Peter Johnston, hanging onto the rear of Michael Shaw. Now, we're talking yesterday about Peter Opie, who won the championship back in, 2009, as they come to lap Sue Hughes. The car that's leading this race is Peter Opie's championship-winning car. So it's a 2009 model that Michael Shaw is running. And it shows you just how competitive these cars are. Oh, that's going to be a tight one. Ollie just managed to pull it up as Tony Haggerty had every right to cut across to the apex of the corner and lead out of Honda into Siberia. So he's got to be a little bit careful, Ollie Smith, because the other thing he needs to remember is the championship now is open for him. Here's his move down the inside of Rowan Ross. Had a look across at Tony Haggerty, but I think specifically after what happened yesterday, I'm not sure you're going to see Ollie Smith make too many bold moves down into turn 1.
Well, Tony Haggerty certainly can't say that he hasn't seen the 86 coming, because Ollie put it right up beside him there.
Looks like the race leader has hit pit lane. The pit window has opened. So Michael Shaw is using the same tactic that Peter Padden used yesterday. Peter Johnston, the black car there, the PJS Air number 17, he has now inherited the race lead.
So Peter Johnston coming through on the field there. That's Greg Kenny, who had a horrible start, didn't get away from the line there and sat there for a while to get going. And now back in the race as he comes in. So Peter Johnston leaves the race lead now, which will be Tony Haggerty unless he comes to the lane. So Michael Shaw, who was the race leader, Ollie Smith, who was in 3, Chris Medlin, who was in 5, have all come to the lane now.
Michael Shaw has rejoined, so he's committed his stop. Pit lights have just lit up for Peter Johnston. Ollie Smith in, Chris Medland in, Greg Kenny in, Michael Whiting in. Tony Haggerty takes over the lead of this race. Rowan Ross now position number 2.
The number 6 looks to the inside. The 88, this is for first place in this race. Rowan Ross and Tony Haggerty, 2 veterans, more experienced racers in the Radical Australia Cup, now at the top of the timesheets.
Gentleman drivers having a fair old stoush too. Rowan Ross hasn't given up, but how was that late braking move on the wet line by Tony Haggerty down at Honda? That was very impressive.
What I'm interested in is the way they're coming out of Siberia and going straight over the painted lines and ripple strips. In these conditions, rule number 1, don't go near the painted lines or ripple strips, but the Radicals are just going straight out there. They're absolutely unfazed by it. Michael Shaw has actually made no loss or gain during that. 8.68 seconds. It was about 8.5 seconds at the start, so maybe a minor loss of a tenth of a second, but that may not have happened in the trundle down pit lane. And he is absolutely pushing on very, very hard. Didn't get the result he wanted yesterday. He's been fast. He sat on the front row of the grid. Now he wants a race win. And with over nearly 9.5 seconds, so in the last lap and a bit, he's gained another second on Peter Johnston in the 17. Tony Shebecki's got the man at the top at Radicals with Chris Papadopoulos in the lane.
Well, we're catching up with Chris Papadopoulos, race team manager and also former Formula 1 engineer. Chris, what a fantastic series the Radical Series has turned out to be.
Yeah, it's just been great so far this year. We always like coming to the Shannons Nationals and having our national championship program there. We've had great racing, great tracks. It's just been really good for us on track and off.
And now there's a brand new car into the mix.
Yeah, so there's a new Radical SR3 for this year, a new version of the car. It's been going as a model for over a decade now. And the latest iteration has a couple of new features which help put it at the top of the pack.
The advantages for just a driver who wants to get into the Radicals over another category?
Oh, you know, the cars are very cheap to run, and they're just, more than anything, just great to drive. You know, they're just amazing sensory experience. They're quick, because of the nature of the beast, they're actually one of the best cost-effective race cars you can get into.
So Michael Shaw continuing to lead comfortably. Gary Walker on screen, the number 48 car, orange and blue. Victorian driver making his return, a mainstay of the championship a number of years ago, driving with Robert Baird. Baird had been in this championship as long ago as 2 seasons back. Made the odd cameo. We might see him this year, but he hasn't lined up just yet. But certainly there have been a number of entries coming in and out. We are missing at least 4 drivers this weekend. Greg Smith, one of the mainstays of this championship. A big supporter as Gary Walker's run right off coming out of Southern Loop, trying to keep it out of the dirty stuff on the gravel. Big spin, hopefully keeps it out of the tyres. You can still see how much water is on the outside of the circuit, and he may not be able to rejoin this race. Now, Gary Walker's just modulating the throttle to try and give himself enough traction to carry on, but you saw just as he gathered the car back up again how much water's still on the outside of the circuit.
Here we go. Let's see what has happened. Oh, with just a bit of understeer mid-corner, pushing because he's trying to get a result out of this one. So the 48 just about gathered it up. If he had stayed on the stones, he probably could have driven right back to the edge of the circuit. Spins around, hasn't hit anything. So if there's any damage, it'll be on the underside of the car. Currently, it puts him back into 9th place, but I would suggest it's going to put him further down the sheet. There he is.
He's back
on screen.
Great news.
He'd be driving a bathtub. He's set himself in some water there for quite some time. And he's back out on track. But, gee, the points haul he was looking forward to, the Victorian, is not coming his way now. Just ever such an understeer. And that is what that corner, turn 2 here at Phillip Island, it sucks you in. Nice cambered in corner. And as you get on the gas, that camber drops away and off camber on the exit. Catches the best of them out.
Because talking about aero, that's one of the big features of this category, and this is where you find that the professional drivers can make more out of these cars. An amateur driver can get into a Radical SR3 and be very fast, very, very quickly. Certainly with driver training, you can gain ground there. But it's reliance on the aero, and it's something we were talking about Michael Shaw with yesterday. He will have used a bit of muscle memory in the brain to remember that you can lean on the aero. There it is now, checkered flag time. So Michael Shaw takes victory, and yep, he's happy. Signalling to the marshals, thanking them for their efforts. But the big news here, Peter Padden, his winning streak has ended. He will not score points in this round, and that closes up the championship with Oliver Smith across the line in position number 3. So this has closed the gap up. It's going to make things very interesting. And Darren Smith, thank you very much. Another great round of Radical Australia Cup here at the 100th anniversary round of the Shannons Motor Racing Nationals.
It was really kind of surprising to be up the front that quickly, so I think it helped that the weather conditions helped in my favour. I do like a dry track. It was very wet. You had to search for the dry line, and everyone was very tentative on the first few laps, and I was lucky enough that my key competitors did have a spin, so it made my race a bit easier, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
The next time the Radicals come out to play for the penultimate round of their series will be at Sydney Motorsport Park in early July. But coming up after the break, it's time for some open wheel warfare with the CAM's Jayco Australian Formula 4 Championship. We're back at the island for round 2 of the Shannons Nationals, so now it's time for some open wheel action with the CAM's Jayco Australian Formula 4 Championship. Having already run twice at Sandown and then at Barbagallo Raceway, Liam Lawson maintains a slender 4-point lead over Nick Rowe coming into this weekend. Ryan Saul took out race 1 yesterday over Cameron Shields, while Tyler Everingham took his debut win in the series over Zane Morse in race 2. Cars are on the track, so it's over to Darren Smith and Tony Shebeki in the booth for race 3, the final race of the weekend.
These guys had some fantastic racing yesterday, and a bit of a to-do with Cameron Shields and Ryan Schul yesterday. They both went off at the bottom of one, a very high speed off, brought the safety car out, and for those guys it was an opportunity for them to actually catch back up to the back of the field, and Ryan Schul then making his way forward and finishing in the mid of the field. Now we go back to grid positions from qualifying today. So Ryan Schul has P1, next to him will be Josh Denton in P2. That's how they're going to grid up on the front. Liam Lawson, who is our series leader at the moment, the young gun from New Zealand, hasn't finished any worse than 3rd so far for the F4 season. So he is having an amazing year. Cameron Shields in that McDonald's car will start from 4th. Simon Fallon will start from P6. Aaron Love from P7, Nick Rowe P8, Sage Murdoch, Zach Best, Jordan Mazzaroli and Zane Morse bringing up our field.
Great shots of the safety services available for here at the Shannons Nationals, the Race Solutions Medical Crew, Victorian Fire and Rescue there as well, so they all work in with each other, and we are away, and it was Josh Denton that jumped away very nicely there. Liam Lawson went with him, as they charge down into the turn 1. It is Josh Denton that will lead. The number 5 of our pole sitter, Ryan Sewell. Cameron Shields gets straight across from the left-hand side to the right-hand side to cover that run up into turn 2. But he is coming under fire now by the 30 of Liam Lawson. And these guys are going to battle for this all the way through. They've got 14 laps to do it in, and this is going to be a long old journey. Yesterday's race late in the day, the whole field was condensed up after a brief safety car period, and they just went for it.
Yeah. Josh Denton unfortunately taken off by Tyler Everingham in race 1 yesterday. That incurred a 30-second penalty for Tyler Everingham going into race number 2. The race that he actually won, the 30-second penalty took him to 10th position because there was 2 DNFs from race 1, and he worked his way from P10 to P1 in yesterday's race. So a great effort by Tyler Everingham with that Zagami Motorsport Miguel Formula 4 car. But Josh Denton leads Ryan Sewell around now as they make their way
to Lukey Heights this time.
It is too.
The Rising Star competitors currently sitting P2 and P4 on the road. That is Ryan Sewell and Cameron Shields, and they're looking pretty strong with it there.
Sage Murdoch, a big lock up towards the back of the field there, saw a puff of smoke come out. It's Josh Denton in front, final turn for their first lap of the race. 17 laps remaining in this one for the CAMS Jayco Australian Formula 4 Championship. And here comes Ryan Sewell now. He puts the pedal to the metal. That's Zagami Motorsport coming up against the Team BRM car.
Gee, the juggernaut of Team BRM coming under threat with Zagami, aren't they? The many, many years of Formula 3 competition with Team BRM. Been around for a long time. Bronte and Michael Rundle, they run a very strong operation. Cameron Shields has been bumped out of P3. He's gone back to 4 now as Liam Lawson is on maximum attack onto the back of Ryan. That's now Josh Denton as Ryan Sewell goes through to the lead. And Zane Morse just down the back of the field. He's the third of the Rising Star contenders.
Gee, I thought Liam Lawson was going to get up the inside there as Josh Denton went wide on the hairpin. He does get up the inside now. Will it be enough to give him second position? It will. He works his way now to the front. Ryan Sewell in front of him. It is Liam Lawson second, Josh Denton relegated to third, Cameron Shields relegated to fourth. So a bit of a mix-up up the front of the grid. That yellow and white car, or what do we call that? A light green and white car? No, we go with yellow.
Tennis ball yellow, tennis ball green, something like that, like his helmet suits him, looks good.
Zagami Motorsport car of Ryan Sewell in front as they make their way back down Lukey through MG. Liam Lawson now with a new target in front of him and an opportunity to try and get himself back into the lead of another Formula 4 race.
Let's look back down through the field as they come around to complete 2. It's Sewell to Lawson. They've changed around. Denton's changed around, and Shields is now back in 4. It's Everingham to Nick Rowe. We'll keep an eye on the number 97. This guy makes a habit of pushing through the field pretty hard. Simon Fallon, last year's Burson Rookie of the Year in the number 27. To Aaron Love, Jordan Mazzaroli for junior race development. They know their way around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit.
So we talk about highlights of Shannons Nationals races, especially here at Phillip Island. I think it was Dean Randall many years ago. Probably not a highlight for Dean, but a massive roll.
Big off there. That looked like Nick Rowe. He's gone to the dirt. He's bouncing around. The SCT Logistics car spins. He keeps control, grabs a cog, get it going. Nick, the number 97. There's not a gear to find, but he tries to get going again. Very, very lucky stuff.
Yeah, it certainly was, and hasn't been the best weekend for Nick Rowe. Had a horrific qualifying, I think is the way to put it. Let's have a look at the replay of what happened to Nick Rowe. We can see him coming around with a couple of Team BRM cars.
He's just getting a bit greedy there. I think Tony was trying to go as wide as he could, try and keep as much road speed under him as he possibly could. And, well, he won't do it that way again. You've just got to push it all the way in. Put those 2 wheels onto the white line and you're going to lose traction. There's no 2 ways about it. Maybe in a Porsche or a GT car, something heavy, you can probably do that. Not in one of these very light open wheels. The Miguel control chassis, the Ford power plant that is on board these cars, a turbocharged engine.
Nick Rowe is one of those lucky guys that has been given the opportunity to drive these cars for a little bit longer than normal due to the fact that you're only allowed 2 full years driving a Formula 4 car. He had a couple of races towards the end of the first season, and then this is his second full year, so he'll effectively get 2 full years and a couple of races.
Hey, he's done some other driving as well. He drove the Mark Cars outfit. Oh, we've got an off there as well. That's the number 78, and he goes round. That's Love. Oh, goes over.
I reckon that might have been Sage Murdoch. I'm not too sure, not 100%. Couldn't see the helmet of the driver.
Safety car. So the Zagami McLaren will be rocketing out of pit lane now.
Yep.
Sage
Pretty
Murdoch.
sure it was Sage Murdoch and Aaron Love coming together there. Aaron Love having the off and then going straight into the side. Bang! Just got him. Sage Murdoch, wrong place, wrong time. That's all it was.
Sage Murdoch even had his hand in the air then, acknowledging the fact that he was off.
Don't even know if you would have seen Aaron Love coming towards him. Bang!
Watch this. He puts his hand up. There he is. What are you doing? And I tripped over and gently over he went.
In Aaron Love's defence, there wasn't much he could do. I mean, he was just a passenger on that grass going across the wet outfield. There's Sage Murdoch now, so he is out of the car. So that is good news. No dramas there for Sage walking around.
We can see the rain coming down now. Reports in from all the communicators around the track as we've got rain, There's 16 points around the track that observers and bystanders, trained CAMS officials report back to the race director and Clark, of course. Laurie Schmitz, the race director, professional full-timer at CAMS these days. Yeah, it's wet.
Oh, yeah, look at that water coming up from behind. So this is going to be a weird old few laps for these boys as they try to navigate their way around this Phillip Island circuit on slicks in the west.
Word from race control is, yes, this is possibly going to be shortened. 1 lap after 12.18 by me, that's now. So this is probably going to be our last lap as they just scrabble for grip there. Ryan Sewell hanging on, just easing on there. Liam Lawson is getting away from them. Can you believe that? Nick Rowe is trying to push his way through, and we've got a spinner. Zane Morse.
Zane Morse, yeah, number 11 for Zane Morse.
Look at Liam Lawson. He said, right, I see the rain. Let's have a go. This is a challenge. I'm going to try and break away a lead.
At the moment, we're being told there's 8 laps on our timing screen remaining. But as you said, time critical. Probably only 1 lap, maybe if this is it, or maybe 1 lap after this, as we see Simon Fallon trying to get up the inside of Ryan Schull. Now the outside, back to the inside again.
Gee, the fact that the hood's on the Porsche people now, it's definitely raining out there, so that's a good indication. Umbrellas up. And here we go. Ryan Sewell hanging on, in fact, all hanging on. It's Nick Rowe that's actually making positions with Cameron Shields. So the guys that have got the experience in open wheelers, Cameron Shields experiencing in very, very fast open wheelers here. He's him in the number 73, the McDonald's livery, and he's just made up 2 positions in this 1 lap around, and he's looking now onto the back of Ryan Sewell. So Cameron Shields could end up going from back of the field, almost 0 to hero in these conditions.
Very much looking forward to this Cameron Shields and possibility of maybe 1, maybe 2 more laps for this race for him, because he has made up 5 or 6 spots.
Look at Liam Lawson,
yeah,
5 seconds away, he's gone. That's Josh Denton, not wanting to lose any points to Cameron Shields. He's gone through now, so here we've got 2 Rising Star competitors currently sitting 3 and 4 on the road. Simon Fallon into 2, by the way, Tony. He wasn't having the best of weekends until just now.
Well, there you go. Cameron Shields had an opportunity to look up the inside of Ryan Schull, maybe again.
Final lap confirmed.
Okay, final lap it is confirmed, so it'll be Liam Lawson who's doing it nicely. I won't say he's going to win 100% definitely, because anything could happen in the last half a lap for him. He's on turn 4 around the hairpin. He navigates that ever so gently. Simon Fallon.
We've seen some impressive driving this week, and I think this of Liam Lawson out in front now is some of the best. He's driving away from the field, and Cameron Shields, look at it, just wobbling all over the place. Memories of Glenn Seaton in the DR31 Skyline across the top of Bathurst all those years ago. Goes through. Cameron Shields in a position 2. 3, sorry. He's got to chase after Fallon now. That's not going to happen. He's too far up the road as he goes back 1 more spot. These guys have seen the conditions and said, right, let's have a battle. We're all racing in the rain.
Right, Josh Denton trying to get up the inside now of Cameron Shields. Shields again up the inside of Schull. Maybe. No. Schull holds on to it.
He's still going wide there. Probably not the line you want. You want to give yourself plenty of room to slide, like we just saw him do just under brakes now. Cameron Shields' eyes through the corner. He's not worrying about what's right in front of him. He's looking through for the opportunity on the exit. There it is. Sewell slams the door. Cameron Shields, I wouldn't say got out of it, but he certainly had that door slammed in his face.
Josh Denton still looks like he might be able to get something there as our winner, Liam Lawson, crosses the track. Here's the battle for third, fourth and fifth. Sewell, Shields, Denton, Fallon also crosses the line in second place. And Sewell's going to get it, is he? Oh, that was a tough run. I reckon he did by half a wheel from Cameron Shields, who had a big run down the straight at the finish. Josh Denton also there just behind them. We'll wait for the official placings. All right, podium time for me. I'm going to head down there now. Richard Crowell's going to join you very shortly.
So they started in dry. In fact, they started in a 100% dry track. It was great conditions, and they finished in the wet.
Darren, that rain played havoc with everyone's grip, but we're hearing now from race control that Liam Lawson has been given a 30-second penalty after he overtook during the safety car period. So despite finishing first on track, that penalty effectively moves him all the way down to 7th place, which means Simon Fallon is your race winner. So that battle between Fallon, Sewell and Shields at the end, in actual fact, was for the race win. It's a massive result. Josh Denton takes 4th over Tyler Everingham and Zach Best, while Nick Rowe, Aaron Love and Sage Murdoch all failed to make it home. Well, with that penalty, Liam Lawson's reign as the championship leader is over. Nick Rowe now occupies the top spot by just a single point, with Cameron Shields, Ryan Sewell and Josh Denton rounding out the top 5. That's a wrap from the island, but as always, stay up to date with everything over at thenationals.com.au. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you at Winton for round 3.